Praise to the Most High. Right, so we back with another Shabbat service, breaking down evolution and how it's a lie according to the scriptures. It's madness and it's folly. So we got to go into the precepts and break down these different strongholds that our people are into. Right, getting lied to by the white man via his science. Right, going to his universities, being lied to the so-called white man in his textbooks. Right, according to the scriptures, the Heavenly Father created the earth. He created man living on the earth. We're going to go into the precepts and validate these things according to thus saith the Lord. Right, so start off with the book of Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20. Right, so you got to mark these men that bring forth these false doctrines. Because according to the Bible, the Lord created the heavens and the earth and man that dwells therein. Right, so get Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20, Father Bishop.
It's the book of Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20. To the law and to the testimony.
Right, so they have to speak the laws and the testimonies. If they're not speaking the law and the testimony, what the Lord says, bring it out, Cain.
It says, if they speak not according to this word.
If they speak not according to the law and to the testimony, meaning the Bible and the precepts that's written therein, read on.
It is because there is no light in them.
There's no what?
No light in them.
Meaning there's no light, there's no knowledge, there's no wisdom and understanding dwelling within their temple. Right, give me Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 3.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 3.
Right, so the point we're making is you have to come thus saith the Lord, the law and the testimony. What's written in the law, right? Genesis is considered the law, right? The first 5 books of Moses, the beginning.
That's right.
Right, so give me that Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 verse 3.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 3.
Right.
For forward thoughts separate from God.
It say for forward thoughts separate from the Most High. Right, look up that word forward. Because when you read the Bible and you see certain words, you can't just skip over it and say, well, maybe it means this. No, you actually got to search out the matters. As it states in Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 28. A wise man is going to study to find the answers. Right, so bring it out, Jay. Forward.
Yes, forward it says difficult to deal with, contrary.
Right, look up some synonyms. So pretty much it's rebellion, right? People don't believe in the Lord due to their rebellious nature. Right, the Lord said he made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. Evolution is an invention of man.
That's right.
Right, when you go back to the days of old, even in the ancient world, no one believed in evolution. Everybody had a power that they believed in, right? Bring that out, Ken.
Forward, it says, habitually disposed to disobedience and opposition. Self-willed, willful, disobedient.
This what?
Willful, disobedient.
Right, so that's a disobedient spirit to not believe on the Lord. Right, real quick, give me Jonah chapter 1 and verse 7. Proving that every nation had a God that they believed in. Right, evolution is a fairly new concept on the earth. Men in the ancient world had a God that they believed in. Right, whether it was a damn rock, a stick, a stone. Right, but nonetheless they believed on something. But you have this doctrine of evolution that pushes out the spirit of disbelief and a lack of faith in the Lord. Right, so start at Jonah chapter 1 and verse 9. And this is proving that every nation had a God.
This is the book of Jonah, chapter 1 and verse 9. And he said unto them, I am in Hebrew.
I am a what?
I am a Hebrew.
Right, so Jonah said, I am a Hebrew. Right, is that verse 1? That's like verse 7?
You said verse 9. You want verse 7.
Start at 5, King.
Come on, start at verse 5. Oh, sure. The water.
This is the book of Jonah, chapter 1 and verse 5.
Right?
Then the mariners were afraid and cried, every man unto his God.
Right, every man unto his God. Right, so Jonah is fleeing from Nineveh. He's on a ship. Right? And it's real boisterous. The winds are picking up. It's tempestuous. Right? All hell is breaking loose. Man is in fear for his life. So every man cried unto their God. Read that again, Cain.
The book of Jonah, chapter 1 and verse 5 from the top. Then the mariners were afraid.
They were what?
Afraid.
They were afraid. Read on.
And cried, every man.
Every what?
Every man.
Every man. Read on.
Unto his God.
Every man unto his God. Right, so different nations believed on different gods. But now you have this doctrine of evolution that pretty much tries to discredit the Heavenly Father and bases everything off coincidence and it's just happened in the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory is not thus saith the Lord.
At all.
Right? There's no Big Bang when you read Genesis, the first chapter. The Lord created the heavens and the earth. Bring this out, King. Continue on.
It says, and cast forth the wares that were in the ship into the sea to lighten it of them. But Jonah was going down into the sides of the ship, and he lay and was fast asleep.
He was what?
Fast asleep.
Hey, Jonah was just sleeping, man. Right? Imagine it's tempestuous, it's boisterous, it's noisy, damn near about to get in shipwreck, and Jonah is just fast asleep. Keep reading.
Verse 6. So the shipmaster came to him and said unto him, what meanest thou, O sleeper?
He said, what the hell are you doing, man? Why are you sleeping? Keep
Oh.
reading.
Arise, call upon thy God.
Call upon what?
Thy God.
Call upon thy God, meaning your God. Read on. And so, like it real quick, God in the Hebrew is Elohim, right? It just means power. So anything can be set up as a power, right? Man sets technology as their power, right? AI, artificial intelligence,
Money.
right? Money, gold, women,
Weapons.
weapons, clothing, raiment, right? So man sets these things up as a God. Keep reading. Anything that's a power over you is considered your God. You got it, brother.
It says, arise, call upon thy God. If so, be that God will think upon us that we perish not.
Right, now give me 2 Chronicles chapter 9 verse 8. So that's the precept, or an account rather, proving that every man had a God. Also give me 2 Chronicles chapter 9 verse 8, because also Queen Sheba, she acknowledged Solomon to have a God. She didn't say our God. She didn't say, kumbaya, we're all one. She said, no, you're God. 2 Chronicles chapter 9 verse 8.
The book of 2 Chronicles chapter 9 verse 8. Blessed be the Lord thy God,
Blessed be the Lord thy God. Keep reading.
which delighted in thee to set thee on this throne, to be king for the Lord thy God, because thy God loved Israel.
See that? So she said, thy God loved Israel. And also give me Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 28. So where's this new concept coming from of the disbelief in the Lord? Saying that we all came from monkeys, right? We evolved into human beings, right? That's out of order. That goes against the scriptures. That's common sense, right? Bring this out. 7 and 29.
The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 29. Lo, this only have I found, that God hath made man upright.
Right, so the scriptures say the Lord, ultimately, he created man to be an upright vessel. The Lord created man to keep the commandments and abide by the laws that he set up.
Right? Did not he say that he saw his work and that it was good?
That's right.
And he was not a man that he should lie. So he saw everything on the earth and he said, hey, it's straight, it's good, let it be. If he would have saw bad, he wouldn't have said it was good.
That's right. So everybody was created to be upright for the most part. Right, so the Lord have created man upright. Read on.
It says, lo, this only have I found, that God hath made man upright. But they have sought out many inventions.
They did what?
Sought out many
They have
inventions.
sought out many inventions. Evolution is an invention of man. And real quick, one more. Give me Wisdom of Solomon. I believe it's chapter 14 and verse 12.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 12. For the devising of idols.
Meaning the creation of these idols. Right? Because ultimately, evolution, this is a doctrine. This is idolatry. Read on.
It says, for the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual
And
fornication.
this is the beginning of spiritual fornication. Right? When you freaking off with different gods, ideologies, and understanding, denouncing the power of the Most High God. That's idolatry. Right? You ought to get put to death for that.
God.
Right? So with that, I yield.
Bring up Job 12 and 7. Right, the topic It's evolution. All right, we don't come from monkeys, neither do we come from fish. They came from Esau's philosophies. They came from his doctrine.
Job chapter 12, verse 10, 12 and 7.
This is the book of Job, chapter 12 and verse 7.
Look it up.
But ask now the beasts,
Right?
and they shall teach thee.
Right? That doesn't mean that a damn animal or a dog is going to put on a thinking cap and kind of break down a lesson to you. Right? In other words, when you observe and acknowledge, or I would say observe these animals, you will see the way that they move, that they're submissive unto the Lord. Go ahead.
It says, and the fowls of the air,
Right?
and they shall tell thee,
They're going to tell you, go ahead.
or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee.
Until he what? Go ahead.
Verse 9, who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord have wrought this?
Right. Even animals acknowledge that there's a higher power. Right? The stars, the trees, they all praise the Lord at the end of the day. Even when you go to Jerusalem, there are certain trees that bend towards the east. Right? Certain birds, they migrate towards the east. Certain beasts acknowledge what a new moon is. And they gather the food and they eat. Right? They're honoring the Lord. They all have some type of respect or reverence towards him in one shape, form, or fashion. I really not going to go deep into it just yet. But nevertheless, you have to understand, even a beast can acknowledge that there's a higher power. Right? So,
It says, in whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind. Do not the ear try words, and the mouth taste his meat?
and that's what we're doing now, right? Well, we don't have to kind of consider evolution thinking, man, is this true? We already smell it. And it smells like S-H-I-T, right? We don't have to taste this to kind of think, maybe that's true. I don't know. I'll put it on balances, weigh it matter. No, this is BS.
That's right.
If you look at that picture, you telling me I got the same brain of a monkey? That's folly. We have fur. And before the monkey, we came from the ocean. We were fish. We were catfish, an unclean beast
Try to say we
with
mammals.
scales.
Try to say we mammals.
So what
That's-
was before that?
Yeah, what was we before that?
It's
Eggs.
another ending thing, man.
You was
They
a-
say it was a little microorganism.
I was about to say you was a molecule.
Yeah, you was a molecule. It's not Pokemon where you just level up.
Atom.
That's folly.
And real quick, even with that logic, you have to understand it still had to be created by something. Right? It's a never ending thing.
So we just
Right?
stop right
So
here.
before the monkeys, you was a fish, and before the fish, you was a parasite. What was you before the damn parasite?
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Then. That's what I was saying. Then you
It's a
become,
tick.
then you become a human, and then you just stop.
Yeah, and why don't we stop all of a sudden? It's been over a million, not a million, but like 1,000 years. Why did it stop?
I ain't turned into a dinosaur yet.
Yeah. So bring out Genesis chapter 1, King. Damn. Genesis 1 and 20.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 20. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life,
Right?
and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven.
See, and when you dive into evolution by Darwinism, I mean, he's not speaking of these accounts. He just say, we came from molecules, and then we leveled up, and then we grew fangs, and then this type of teeth. Go ahead.
It says, and God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind.
Right?
And every winged fowl after his kind, and God saw that it was good.
Right, so they came from the waters. Man say we came from the waters. But what did the Lord say? Jump down to verse 26.
Book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air.
Right, so we weren't made after the likeness of fish and whales and sea creatures. Go ahead.
It says, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
Now jump to Genesis 2 and 7.
Book of Genesis chapter 2 and verse 7. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground.
From where?
The dust of the
And
ground.
on a deeper spiritual level, we came from the dust of the ground. We came from the earth. We came from the ground. Esau Darwinism, they say we come from the waters. That's folly. We didn't come from sharkfish. Alright. Now one more. You can bring out 1 Corinthians 15 and 58.
And real quick, even when you look up the same elements in the ground, is the elements that we were made of. Right?
Carbon, zinc, iron.
That's right.
That's
Right?
plenty.
And we're gonna go into it now, right? Because we gotta break these things down. Right? Now your top scientist, he's not gonna explain these things to you. Right? He's gonna give you his theory. Right? He's gonna give you his hypothesis. Right? The Lord ain't dealing with that, man. The Lord is dealing with facts and scriptures and precepts. You got it, gang.
Yeah, ain't no scripture on scientific method. You can bring out 1 Corinthians, I believe. It's 15 and 58.
It's the book of
Let's
First.
start up. Well, not 58, Salakia. You said like 50 or... You said 40...
39,
39.
38.
Yeah. You said at verse 38.
This is the book of First Corinthians, chapter 15, and verse 38. But God giveth it a body as it hath pleased him, and to every seed his own body.
Go ahead.
All flesh is not the same flesh.
No, it is.
Is not the same
I
flesh.
came from a monkey.
Is not the same flesh.
It's not the same. We are not the same. I mean, animals, they move off instinct. They don't kind of have critical thinking skills. They can't analyze problems like man can. Go ahead.
It says, but there is one kind of flesh of men,
Right? So there's one flesh of man. That's plain. Go ahead.
another flesh of beasts,
Right? You got many beasts. You got sheep. You got cows. You got lamb. You got ox. I mean, the list goes on. You got bison. So go ahead.
another of fishes,
Right? We know all the clean fish. We know a lot of unclean fish as well. But nevertheless, they are not the same as beast. Neither are they the same as man. Continue.
and another of birds.
Right. There's entire bird species. Not even in a bird species are they all the same. So what makes us the same as a damn fish? Bring it up.
It says, verse 40, there are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial. But the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another.
Now that's plain. You can bring out one more in 1 Corinthians 2 and 4.
Book of 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 4 reads, and my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom.
You Google Darwinism. Darwinism is man's words. That's enticing. Oh, we came from monkeys? That's deep, Ak. You know that? To Sir and Jake, this is going to be their God. They exalt us to the clouds. We came from monkeys. That's deep because they got thumbs, we got thumbs. Duh.
They kind of look like us.
Kind of look like us. I seen a brother the other day. Look like a
Like
monkey.
a monkey.
Yeah, that's insulting.
It's monkey, man.
It says the theory of evolution. Can we Google theory about for sure?
God.
God.
Because Esau uses this word very loosely. It's a theory. You know, this is my theory, my hypothesis. What else words they use? Scientific. I can,
They got some words.
yeah, they got some big fancy words, man.
My conjecture, my speculation.
Educated guess.
My educated guess.
It's disgusting.
And that's all, man.
Look at that.
When did the Lord ever say have an educated guess? All right, bring it up, Ken. You got it. It's a lot.
Theory. A supposition or a system of ideas intended, right? The key word intended trying to explain something, especially one based on general principles, independent of the thing to be explained. For an example, Darwin's theory of evolution. It's just a theory. They can't even say it's the actual law.
Suspicion,
Assumption,
conspiracy on it.
opinion,
view,
ideas.
just speculation.
Look up,
Bring up-
oh, you got it.
Yes.
Robert's come here for it. Real quick, look up that word conspiracy. Right, because Esau, he bases his things off conspiracy.
propositions are right by them too.
Everything but fact.
Colossians 2 and 8.
Oh, that's crazy.
It ain't a
Look up
fact.
that word conspiracy barber shop.
Goddamn thought process.
A secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. Darwinism is unlawful and very harmful to the minds of Israel.
That's a secret plot.
They teach this in damn elementary school.
Conspiracy.
Now the kids coming home, daddy, I'm fish. After their own heart and mind. That's a guess. They're leading upon their own mind. And whenever you lean upon your own mind, I mean, you ain't going to lean too long. You're going to fall.
I had some
It was more than Corinthians.
Which one?
1 Corinthians 2 and 4.
All right, you got it.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 4 again from the top. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the power, in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God.
I got two precepts. Get on 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 19.
It's the book of
This is the wisdom of the world. Right now, if you break this thing down to an unlearned man, he's going to be enticed. He's going to say, oh my God, this man is deep. Right? They're going to hear Albert Einstein. Right? They marvel at Albert Einstein. Right? And we know more than him. Right? I'm going to say it just like that, man.
That's right.
Men of the Lord know way more than Albert Einstein.
That's right.
Right? Bring this up, man.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness.
Is what?
Foolishness.
Is what?
Foolishness.
The wisdom of this world is foolishness. I mean that cuts it right there, man. We don't have to get no more precepts, man. That right there, it explains it. The wisdom of this world is foolishness.
That's right.
Keep reading.
With God.
With what?
With God.
With the Heavenly Father. Read on.
For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness.
Right, so the Lord actually takes the wise in their own craftiness. Right, when you check out these scientists that's creating these nuclear weapons, the Lord is going to take them out with their own devices. And that's in Psalms chapter 7 and verse 15. Right, so they think they're so deep, intelligent, and wise, but the Most High is going to confound their wisdom. Right, and bring it up.
Verse 20. And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain.
That they are what?
They are
So
vain.
this is a vain thought, to believe that we came from monkeys. And give me Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 21.
This book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 21.
Right, this means a man had to wake up one day and just completely bug out and say, yeah, we're monkeys. Right, because again, prior to this doctrine being pushed forth on the earth, men had a God, men believed on something. So this was a wicked thought that crept into Darwin's mind to believe that we came from animals. Reprobate mind. You got it, brother.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 21. Such things they did imagine.
Right, they did what?
Imagine.
So they imagine that we come from animals. They imagine that we come from a monkey. These are things that they imagine in their spirit. Read on.
And we're deceived.
And we're what?
And we're
They
deceived.
were what?
And we're deceived.
So Darwin was deceived. Read on.
It says, for their own wickedness have blinded them.
Right, so he's blinded due to his own wickedness. Give me one more. Psalm chapter 62 and verse 9.
The book of Psalm, Chapter 62
You can get put to death for believing in this, man.
and verse 9.
You can get put to death by the Heavenly Father for believing in evolution. Because that's lacking faith. That's idolatry. Right? The scriptures say the first commandment, what? Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. So if you're going after different gods and strange powers, the Lord is going to put you to death. Right? Now give me Psalm chapter 62 and verse 9.
The book of Psalm, chapter 62 and verse 9.
Right?
Surely men of low degree are vanity,
Read on.
and men of high degree,
Men of what?
high degree,
Right, so these scientists, they get high degrees. And real quick, I looked it up. It say, what degree do scientists need? It say a bachelor's degree. Research scientists need a bachelor's degree in a closely related field for most positions. Usually, a master's degree or a PhD is preferred. Right, so they go after that PhD, they go after that highest name, man. Right? They go after that master's, that PhD, and they trying to get learned in their so-called field. But the Lord said men of high degree are alive. Right? Because they getting taught lies by the so-called white man in these universities. Right? Like the brother was bringing out, they teach you this in elementary school. They were mammals, right? And we come from animals, woolly mammoths, right? All this folly, man. And guess what? That's not in the Bible.
God.
What a man,
Right? It's more than that.
Mammals.
It
We're
says,
not, real quick, we're not mammals. All right? You got it, brother.
Psalm 62 and verse 9. Surely men of low degree are vanity, and men of high degree are a lie.
Men of high degree are alive. Read on.
To be laid in the balance, they are altogether lighter than vanity.
What the Lord say?
Lighter than
So the
vanity.
Lord said they're lighter than vanity. Right? The man of high degree and the man of low degree. Right? The man that go get his PhD and the average man that don't know a damn thing. Right? They're just all vanity. Because they're not coming with the wisdom of the Lord.
God, I wanted to get a few precepts, but I want to bring this out. I looked up mammals. It said mammals are a group of vertebrate animals.
Keyword animals.
Examples of mammals include rats, cats, dogs, deer, monkeys, apes, bats, whales, dolphins, and humans. So we in the same family as a bat. That's madness. This is alright, 17 and 1.
And real quick, when we read Leviticus the 11th chapter, the Lord explains certain animals after their kind. Right? Man is not mentioned in Leviticus the 11th chapter. That's right.
Praise.
Man is mankind. Man is his own thing. We was given dominion over the creatures of the earth. That's why we have more wit and knowledge than all animals.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to bring out right here. It's alright, 17.
This is the book of
And
Sirach.
1.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 17 and verse 1.
Right?
The Lord created man of the earth
Right, so the Most High created man of the earth. Right, read.
and turned him into it again.
Right, read.
He gave them few days and a short time, and power also over the things therein.
Right, so we have power over the creatures in the earth. Right, we're not the same. Right, can you read it?
He endued them with strengths by themselves,
Right,
and made them according to his image,
right,
and put the fear of man upon all flesh.
right. That's why when you see a damn deer, right, kind of run away from you, animals terrified of man. And the Lord put the fear of man upon all the flesh. Right, can you read it?
And gave him dominion over beasts and fowls.
But you can train a damn monkey, man. So how we come from a monkey, you can train a monkey. You can train parrots how to talk. You can train a dog how to sit and pick up the damn newspaper, right? So we got dominion over the animals, man. We not animals, man. Right? They're different from men, right? Can you read it?
It says they receive the use of the 5 operations of the Lord.
Right, so we got the 5 operations, right? That's the so-called 5 senses, right? Can you read it?
And in the 6th place, he imparted them understanding.
Right, so we have understanding. That's another sense that we have. The 6th sense, right? Can you read it?
And in the 7th, speech.
Right,
An interpreter of the cogitations thereof.
right. So we actually have speech and we can understand. Like a parrot, it may can mock, and they don't know what's going on. Right, it's just repeating BS. Right? It doesn't have the understanding and actual interpretation.
And you can train them to speak folly, man. Right? And that's off. They don't got the understanding to say, well, I don't want to say that, that's not being seen.
Right?
They just want to say it, man.
They don't know what's
See, man can say, well, that's not expedient to say, I'm good, Man doesn't get, man doesn't have that type of understanding. Man, understanding is great than a raven or a parrot.
And that's funny y'all say that.
First Timothy 6:22.
That's funny y'all say that because I grew up with my grandma and we used to go to like this little place where they sell like animal stuff and my grandma used to go up there so much. The fairy used to say, F Mary. F Mary. It's my grandma cuss a lot. So she would be like, F Mary, fuck Mary.
Yeah.
I'm like,
They don't know what's going on, man.
They just mocking whatever you say. So to say that we mammals, I'm not the same as a rat, man. You can't say I'm a mammal and a rat is a mammal. And I'm cool with that, man. That's folly. A group of vertebrate animals. Right? That's madness. Like, bring it up, man. 6 and 20.
This is the book of 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust,
Right?
avoiding profane and vain babblings.
Right. This is a profane babbling. Right? It may seem like you said, you gotta have high degrees for these things, man. But they really fools, man. Right? Can you read it?
And oppositions of science,
Right?
falsely so called.
Right, so so-called science, man. There was really no science behind Darwinism. We gonna get into it. I got this book, man, kind of exposing Charles Darwin. He was a racist, man. Right? We get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2. You with Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and 12.
Book of Wisdom
I
of
want to
Solomon.
get into Charles Darwin, man. Right, bring it up, man.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 12.
Right?
Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous,
Right?
because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings.
Right?
He upbraideth us with our offending the law.
Right, because they always offending the law. This whole chapter is talking about Esau, right? Can you read it?
And objective to our infamy, the transgressings of our education.
Right, their so-called education. It's a damn transgression, man. Because like you say, they teach you that in damn elementary. I remember seeing that picture of the monkey turning into a man in elementary. I remember seeing that picture, man, in the damn science book, man. Right, that damn hardcover. Right, the cover always broke off, man.
like he kind of walking.
Right, that madness, man. And check this out, when you look up evolution, literally a synonym is Darwinism. So you understand that evolution literally comes from this man, Charles Darwin. The brother had a precept. I want to get into this guy.
I got two precepts. Get on Sirach chapter 47 and verse 3.
The book of Sirach.
And this is proving that man has dominion over the creatures. Man is more superior. Man has more intellect. Right now where man is at a low level. Right, so the beasts are stronger than you now. Right, they can run you down. You trying to escape from a bear. I kind of seen one video. Esau was out there toiling with the bears, and the bear ran him down. Right, and kind of ripped his face up. So right now, the beasts of the earth, they're vexed. Right, they may have more power and strength than you right now, but ultimately you're smarter than them. You have more intellect. Right. Now, give me Sirach chapter 47 and verse 3. Look at this guy, man. Look, perfect. This man has a dark countenance due to false doctrine and philosophy.
He looked like a pure racist devil, man.
I'm pretty sure this man was up all night studying his father. Right, losing sleep. Right, looking at the anatomy of the monkeys and cutting the brain open, and just a mad scientist putting man brain and monkey brain together, trying to figure out something. But this man was sick. Wake up.
The book of Sirach, chapter 47, and verse 3. He played with lions as with kids.
So this is what King David did. He played with lions as with kids. Everyone.
And with bears as with lambs.
Right, so he had more superiority over these animals. He kind of playing with them, putting them in a headlock, choking them out. Right, being a kid, man. I'm led to believe David was wrestling with him, putting him in a headlock, kind of doing this thing, man. Yeah, you know. So this shows you that man has more intellect than the animal. Man is more superior to us, right? Also, give me give me Isaiah chapter 11.
Book Isaiah, chapter 11, when we start talking.
Yeah, sorry.
Book Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 1. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots.
Give me verse 7. The wolf shall lie down to the line.
Con. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 6. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb.
And the wolf shall, this is talking about the kingdom of heaven. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb. Meaning the earth is going to be at peace. The animals are going to be at peace. They're not going to be bugged out how they are now. Right? The animals, they mind gone. When you check out the elephants used to be war animals. Now look at them. They slow. You know, they're walking around with their head down. They look dried out. Hey, elephants was mighty, man. Right? Keep reading.
It says, the wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together. And a little child shall lead them.
And what?
A little child shall lead them.
And a little child shall lead them. Right here it said a little child is going to be equal to the animals, and they're going to kind of lead the little child, and the little child one day he's going to turn into a monkey, then he's going to turn into a catfish, and after he turns into a catfish, he's going to turn into a gorilla. That's madness, man. It said a little child is going to lead these animals in the kingdom of heaven. This is the kingdom of heaven we're speaking about. Right? So if you believe in evolution, you don't believe in the kingdom of heaven.
At all.
You don't believe in God.
At all.
You're a Satanist, man.
That's right.
You got it, brother.
It says, and the cow and the bear shall feed. Their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox.
Now give me Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8.
But Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8, it reads, Colossians 2 and 8, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy.
Through what?
Philosophy.
Through philosophy. Look up that word philosophy. Right? Jake, you know, this is Jake. Jake love to be philosophical. That's their favorite word, man. I'm philosophical. P-H-I. There you go. Philosophy. The study of the fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence, especially when considered academic discipline. Right? Thinking, reasoning, thought, wisdom. So this is reason and thought and wisdom based off of what?
Nothing, really.
Based off of foolishness. Right? So you can have a philosophy, but is your philosophy based off thus said the Lord and the facts?
Right.
Right? And 9 times out of 10 it isn't. So beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit. Keep reading.
It says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit,
Right?
after the tradition of men.
Charles Darwin.
Tradition of men.
After the tradition of men. So this is a mortal man on the earth. An Edomite at that. Why the hell would you seek out an Edomite for knowledge? Right? The most knowledge they're going to have is knowledge of wickedness. Knowledge of how to worship Satan. Right? Knowledge of the wickedness. Keep reading.
After the rudiments of the world,
After the rudiments of the world, meaning the course and the nature of the world.
and not after Hamashiach.
And not after Hamashiach Yahushua. So this is not after Hamashiach. Look up that word rudiment. So this is a rudiment. So we exhort our people that's into these philosophies come out of it. The Lord said, come out of her, my people. Right in the book of Revelation, chapter 18 and verse 4. That's a classic precept. Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. You have to arise and depart, because this is not your rest. This is a land that teaches you that you come from a monkey. Why would you want to subject yourself to this place? Why would you want to prolong your days here? Ooh, man.
I looked it up.
say principles of a subject, basics, fundamentals, elements, essentials. Right, so all these things are based off of nothing. Foundation. And this is a shaky foundation, man. This is a foundation built on sand.
Oh, they got the woman in front of the man right here too.
So you see that?
Oh wow.
So you got the bad monkey in the back, and you got the woman in the front.
Like that's the top of evolution, is what it's saying.
So, so is the man gonna turn into a woman, or what is it saying? This is folly.
They try to make it be like that.
That's
Yeah.
crazy, bro. They got the woman in front of the man.
So pass a man. That's what I'm trying to say right there.
That's fire.
That's like saying
Yeah,
3.
get that Jeremiah 31 for knowledge seeking.
That's crazy, man.
Right, so I mean it's a lot of things wrong with this picture, right? You got the monkey with the baby skull. Then you got the woman in the front with the big skull, man. So they trying to say the woman is smarter, you know. So this is folly, man.
Here, literally smaller, bro. Look at this nigga.
They say
Now that you know that's
Now, women are little than that, so why would
like
they
you too, they say they grow faster than or they mature faster than men.
Mature is different from that anything else. That's
Yeah.
that's ain't man, you know, what is that?
You said 31.
Jeremiah 31 and 22.
The
So
book,
it's folly. Bring this out.
the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31 and verse 22.
Yeah.
How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter?
Oh, thou backsliding daughter. Which is really talking about Israel. Israel is that backsliding daughter, man. They're always going off, going into wickedness, going into philosophy. Right, because you got Jake listening to this too. What's that that scientist? I always forget his name. Right? He's a Jake, and he's finished. Right? He believe in the Big Bang.
Neil deGrasse.
It might be him. Yeah, that guy, man. Neil deGrasse. Look him up, man. We gotta get this. We gotta get a visual of this man. And you tell me if this is a man of understanding. Cause you could see who's a man of understanding by the context.
Yeah, the Lord said that. If
Yeah.
back of these in inside right.
Hey,
So do you want to learn anything from? Come on, man. You know.
You're like Jesse Jackson. Long in
It
a
might be an evil. You know, you got a lot of terrors out here in the world. Right, so the point is,
there's a little
how
more
long
than that.
without goals, thou backsliding daughter, read on.
It says, for the Lord hath created a new thing in the
The
earth.
Lord had created a new thing in the earth. So this is a new thing in the earth. Evolution is a new thing. Read on.
A woman shall compass a man.
What it say?
A woman shall compass a man.
And as you see, that woman can pass in men.
Man, oh man.
So this is father. Give me one more. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3. Let's get the order. Now, order, this is talking about the order of the household. This is the order of life. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3. Ultimately, this is the order of life. Bring this out.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3. It says,
And this is, real quick, this is the true nature, right, that the Lord created. When we think about nature, you know, we always think about the so-called white man, his philosophy. No, the nature is what the Lord created and the order he set up. Bring this out.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3.
All right.
But I will have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach Yahushua.
Right, the head of man is a Mashiach. Read on.
And the head of the woman is the man.
And the head of the woman is the man. Read on.
And the head of Hamashiach Yahushua is Yahweh.
And the head of Mashiach Yahushua is the Most High Yahweh. Right, so under man, woman, the children, right, under mankind, period, you have these animals that's under man. Right? So they're not on the same level, they're not on the equal playing field. We're more superior than these animals. And that's what we bring out.
So I want to touch on Charles Darwin a little bit, because evolution literally comes from him. So I want you to just read this, start at the highlight, just read on down. You're going to get a couple inserts from the book, at the top right here. Although, it says, called The Black Image in the White Mind. It's by George M. Frederickson. Yeah, for sure that. Right? This is a so-called white man, right, who wrote this book. He was kind of getting on Charles Darwin. So let's read a little bit, bring that out.
This is the book called The Black Image in the White Mind.
Right? What page is that?
Page 230.
All right?
It says, although the act of emancipation,
Right, because Charles Darwin was around the time of the Emancipation Proclamation, so-called. Right? In fact, when was that exact year? Yeah, January 1st, 1863. Right, because Charles Darwin's book actually came out in 1865. Right, so it's around that time. So a lot of the whites, they was kind of getting scared, like, what about these Negroes that's free now? That's the spirit that was out there. Right, so bring this up.
it says, although the act of emancipation did not result either in race war
Because they was thinking about a race war starting up, right? Can you read it?
or in a decline in the black population,
Right?
prophecies of extermination did not cease with the coming of the post-war era.
You see that? So it was a post-war era. After that war, whatever the case may be, they basically was saying, hey, the black people get exterminated. It's either gonna be a race war or they gonna kind of die out because they too ignorant to live, pretty much on their own. That's the sentiment that's going on when you actually read this whole like chapter, right?
Real
Bring it
quick,
back.
which is further from the truth. We still here today, right? Lamentations 3:22, right? Nothing that the so-called white man could do could destroy the Israelites, man.
We actually smarter than Esau anyway.
Yeah, when you check out the Reconstruction
Right.
era, which I believe was the early 1900s, it was building infrastructure, right? Building towns, right? Because we had the knowledge, man. We fresh out of slavery, so we knew how to build, right? We knew how to, pretty much we had masterminds.
All right.
So we wasn't just no dumb niggas hanging from trees, man.
And this is what they thought about us. And you go see who's at the forefront of this.
And real quick,
Read it, man.
even when you check out these plantations, you always had overseers of the nation of Israel, right? Coons and sellouts. But nonetheless, these men had understanding to run a plantation. It wasn't just a white man, just simply him running everything. Of course, he wants, to kind of take the burden off him. He wants to set up another so-called black man to kind of help him run the plantation. Right, so you had Jake in positions of leadership, even in slavery.
Yep, kind of facts. Some Jakes is brought out how you had Jake with slaves too, man. Brothers have brought that out before to try to justify Esau, but that's folly anyway. All right, but keep reading that.
It says, in fact, they were given new impetus and greater respectability by the intellectual currents set in motion by the publication of Charles Darwin's.
Wait, hold on. You gotta reread that sentence from the top real quick. We gotta catch it all in sync and see what this just said. Right, bring it up.
Read that one more time. It says, actually, I'm gonna start from
I want to start where it said the extermination of blacks.
yeah, we'll start that all over.
So we can catch it together. Listen real close to this.
Yeah. It says, although the act of emancipation did not result either in race war or in a decline in the black population,
Right?
prophecies of extermination
Right, it still was prophesied the extermination of Jake, right? You read it?
did not cease
Right, it didn't cease,
with the coming of the post-war era.
right?
In fact, they were given new impetus.
Right, impetus meaning, right, momentum, right? It was given more momentum. The thought process of exterminating Jake by what?
It says, in fact, they were given new impetus
Right?
and greater respectability.
Right, it was greater respect on the idea of the blacks being exterminated, right?
By the intellectual currents
Right?
set in motion
Right, set in motion by what?
by the publication
Right?
of Charles Darwin's on the origin of species.
You see that? So Charles Darwin's book furthered the so-called white man's white supremacy. They thinking, you know what, man, these black they are gonna be exterminated because natural selection and they're an inferior species. And they pushed that up and they exalted Charles Darwin's madness, man, based off of that. Because even the book is called The Origin of a Species. And when you check it out, it even has a racist title. But you can just keep reading on that.
It says in 1859.
Right, that's 1859. Keep reading.
I gotta read something.
It says
Real quick. Keep reading this.
one of the implications
Right.
of Darwinism
Right?
for racial thinking
Right, you can understand that it's a racial thinking about what?
was suggested by the subtitle
The subtitle,
of The Origin of Species,
right?
which is the book, the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life.
You see that? So that's the subtitle. And this is right here. This is the book, right? It says the origin of species, preservation of favored races, and the struggle for life. Right, so you support dirt, you support white supremacy, man. Literally. That's the subtitle. It literally says favored races and the struggle for life. Right? So they basically trying to say Esau, and even on when you think about Esau, right? When you think about him, his genetic makeup, he's inferior. So based on their own logic and Darwinism, why do they exist? Why didn't humans evolve from having pale skin that burn in the sun to having darker skin that don't burn in the sun? Why didn't they evolve? Why are white people still here then? So that's how you know it's folly. So if you believe in Darwinism, you believe in racism. And if you have a point, I got something else in here.
I just wanted to bring out because this is psychological warfare, right? The fact that he implemented this doctrine on the earth, right? Ultimately to destroy our nation, to destroy our mindset, our morale, because you have a lot of Israelites that believe in this. You have a lot of blacks and Hispanics that actually believe. I remember I got into it, well not really, I got into a discourse with a brother about this a long time ago. He swore up and down we came from monkeys. I said, brother, we do not come from monkeys, man. You know, that's prior to when I had knowledge of certain things, but I knew that was a lie. You know? So, what is considered psychological warfare? Psychological warfare involves the planned use of propaganda and other psychological operations to influence the opinions, emotions, attitudes, and behavior of opposition groups. So ultimately, he also pushed out this doctrine to weaken our nation and to weaken our morale. He wants us to believe that we come from monkeys, man. And it worked with a lot of our people, right? So this is psychological warfare. It's not just biological warfare. It's not just spiritual warfare. You got psychological warfare as well, right? And this is before TV. This is before, you know, they can push out subliminal messages. They had books back then, right? And they pushed out these different books and different opinions and doctrines ultimately to weaken our nation.
God, so
It's real quick.
Yeah, you got some more right
It said, how do you society?
Wow.
What does PSYOPs actually do? Psychological operations. Soldiers benefit the Army's mission by using unconventional techniques. Their intelligence, interpersonal skills, cultural sensitivity, and foreign language proficiency help sway opinions and actions of foreign government groups and individuals. Right? So he's pushing out these doctrines to help sway our mind into believing in these things. Because if you believe you come from a monkey, you already lost, man. If a man could make you believe that you're an animal, you're finished, man. Because right there and there, he's telling you that he's more superior to you. Right? And if you believe that he's more superior to you, you're going to lose the war. Because you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe in that battle.
Right.
So, I mean, this thing get deep when you really think about it. This man was a devil, man. This man hated blacks and Hispanics. If you believe in Darwinism, you hate blacks and Hispanics.
Facts. No way around it. That's the origin of it. It's based on racism. And it was a part of the propaganda to put in a spirit that a so-called white man that they didn't have to fear these black folk that was getting free because they inferior. That's the purpose of it. And it got that push. And I want to prove how I got that push because it said it was published, what, 1859. Now, I looked up how do you determine fossils, right? How do you date fossils? And it's something called radiometric dating methods. That started in 1905, right? So, I mean, what evidence did they have that, man, this was years after, right? Even when you look up carbon dating. Yeah, so it's like, they basically started putting information behind it after it came out to popularize
False narratives.
a false narrative spirit. But like I said, it's before TV and all that, man. So it was easier to, or I wouldn't even say, I mean, it's still the same level, but they just propagated it in a different way. So in 1905, that's when they started actually learning how to date fossils. So what evidence did they have for Darwin, right? And I'm going to check this out in this book. It's actually going to explain that they added years to the earth. They actually added that to fit his narrative. Right, check this out, bring it up.
This page 232
Right.
in the black image in the white mind. It says the principal barrier to the acceptance of Darwinian principles.
Right, because they couldn't accept it at first because everybody knew we all come from a common ancestor, right? People believed in the Bible, man. Right, bring it up.
It says by the theorist of American racialism,
Right,
stem from the differences of opinion about the origins of the races.
right,
The polygynist views of the American School of Ethnology were strictly speaking incompatible.
Somebody push.
right. Slide, read that again. Yeah.
Take that back from the top real quick. The principal barrier to the acceptance of Darwinian principles by the theorists of American racialism stemmed from differences of opinion about the origins of the races.
Right, so they basically had different opinions on the origins of races, right? Trying to figure out this Darwinism thing that he's talking about, right? Make it fit, right? Keep reading.
The polygynist views of the American School of Ethnology were, strictly speaking, incompatible with the Darwinian developmental hypothesis.
Right, so it wasn't with because that word
Ethnology.
ethnology. That's the study of mankind, pretty much the study of civilizations. It didn't fit with Charles Darwin's developmental, this whole new theory he had. Right, keep reading.
It says developmental hypothesis because the latter derived contemporary human races from a common ancestor.
Right, so they basically saying human races come from a common ancestor. So what he's saying doesn't make sense for what we already teach. Right, you reading?
But if Darwinism undermined the theory that blacks were a competitive disadvantage
Where we had a competitive disadvantage.
because they were created a few thousand years ago as a permanently inferior species.
Right, this is what Darwin was pushing out, man. And Jake believing in this stuff, man. And he literally said we inferior, man.
Competitive disadvantage.
Because we only a few thousand years old, so we was kind of at a disadvantage. Right, keep reading though.
It
This
says,
is all this crazy, man.
as a permanently inferior species,
Permanently. Wow.
it did not foreclose the possibility that they had evolved through a process of natural selection
Right, so that's madness, man. Keep reading.
over hundreds of thousands or even millions of years
Right.
into a variety of the genus Homo, which stood as far below the whites and capacities necessary for survival and progress as any adherent of the American school could have wished.
You see that? And they had to add this hundreds of thousands of years real quick. It's somewhere later in this real quick. I want to just get that. Like they said, you got to add millions of years. But if you jump down to right here,
They talk crazy.
it's right here. It says hence all the deductions. Let's start right here. It says hence all the deductions. It's gonna say that they had to add extra years because man didn't believe in that, man.
It says,
Check this out.
hence all the deductions from comparative anatomy
Right.
and physiology supporting the biological basis of polygynous racialism were still valid.
Right? It was still valid, right? If they added years to it, that's what it's gonna say. Keep reading.
One simply altered the explanation for these differences in accordance with natural selection in a longer time span.
In the what?
A longer time span.
Right, so they say, all right, we can make it make sense if we increase the time span. Instead of the earth being 12,000 years old, let's just say it's 1,000,000 years old, and then 100,000 years ago this happened. That's literally that's what it's saying. Like, read it again from the top. That's literally what it's saying. Bring it up.
It says, hence all the deductions from comparative anatomy
Right?
and physiology supporting the biological basis of polygynous racialism
Right?
were still valid.
Right, because we ain't gonna read the whole thing, but the whole thing is basically saying how they had this disagreement, and now, okay, we can make it work by extending the time. That's actually what it's saying. Right, keep reading.
One simply altered the explanation for these differences
Right, you can alter the explanation by doing what?
in accordance with natural selection
Right?
and a longer time span.
Right, keep reading.
It was not even necessary to sacrifice the fundamental antebellum concept.
Right, we didn't even have to sacrifice the fundamental concept no more. We can keep all our evidence of mankind. We just got to make it a longer time span. Right, keep reading.
It says it was not even necessary to sacrifice the fundamental antebellum concept of the persistence of Negro inferiority through all recorded history.
You see that? So that's madness, man. So basically, they just said, all right, if we just kind of extend the time, it'll make sense with the evidence we already got. Because in the beginning, it said it was a barrier because they all said we all come from a common ancestor. So how can it make sense? And that's the birth of Darwinism. So
It says, for according to the Darwinian theory, a few thousand years would not be enough to bring about basic changes in racial character.
you see that? So they had to have some years, man. That's crazy.
Then Esau say we was here 1,000,000 years ago.
That's crazy.
Let's get Job chapter 7 and verse 1.
Oh, man.
Right? Because that's not thus saith the Lord.
Wait through this, man.
This is the book of Job, chapter 7, and verse 1. Reads, book of Job, chapter 7, verse 1. Is there not an appointed
And a what?
an
Is
appointed
there not an appointed, read on,
time to man upon earth? Are not his days also like the days of a higher one?
are not his days also like the days of an hireling, right? Which is short-lived, right? A hireling gets paid at the end of the day, right, for his wages, right? So man was not on the earth for 1,000,000 years, 1,000,000,000 years ago. They say do with carbon dating, right?
That started in the 1900s, after Charles Darwin.
Right, so how do they figure man was on the earth for 1,000,000 years? Right, they gotta add these years to fit their doctrine. Whenever you gotta add and twist and turn things around and make it fit, it's not the truth.
Propaganda.
Propaganda. It's like we don't have to do that with the Bible. We don't have to add in scriptures and take away certain things and twist certain things up and implement our own doctrine. We don't do that because the Bible speaks for itself. Right? That's in Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 2. Don't add or take away from the word. But nonetheless, man's days are like the days of an hireling. Man was not on the earth for 1,000,000 years. Get verse 2.
Verse 2. As a servant earnestly desireth the shadow, and as a hireling looketh for the reward of his work, so am I made to possess months of vanity, and wearisome nights are appointed to me.
Now give me Psalm chapter 90 and verse 10.
The book of Psalms, chapter 90, right, in verse 10, reads, it says, the days of our years are 60 years and 10.
Right, which is 70.
And if by reason of strength they be 80 years.
Right, the Lord can allow you to live up to 80 years old, which is a long time. Read on.
Yet it is their strength, labor, and sorrow, for it is soon cut off.
It is what?
It is soon cut off.
A million years.
It is soon cut off.
A billion years.
It is soon cut off.
So your life is soon cut off. Read on.
And we fly away.
And we fly away. Right, so that's a cut to the fact that they had to add years to fit their doctrine.
I want to read this definition of propaganda because that's literally what Darwinism is. That's why all this carbon dating and finding the fossils and all that came after. Because what happened in 18, 17, what happened with all those? Why nobody ever came up with this? Nobody just stumbled upon a fossil or anything.
What was this information during the Dark Ages?
It just didn't exist. Right? It's just like they killed Galileo. He said the earth, when he said everything revolved around the earth, they kind of killed him, man. Right? Fit into their narrative. One of them said that, man. But this is propaganda. This is information, especially of a biased or misleading nature. Right? That information of Darwin, it was biased. It was based on racism. It says used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. The point of view of prophesying the extermination of Negroes. Right? Other words for this is indoctrination, brainwashing. Right? The disinformation. So they was brainwashing the people back then, man. And that was taught throughout the school system. Right? And everybody, I mean, whoever thought we came from monkeys for real, man? That literally never made sense, man. Right, just like Cat Williams said, man. Yeah, he said, why are they still here? Right, if we come from monkeys, why are monkeys still here, man?
I say that all the time.
Why didn't they evolve? Right, so it's folly, man. It's nonsense. Right?
Monkeys still be turning into humans right now. They still be cracking their bones and growing brains.
It literally
It makes
makes
no
no sense.
sense because Esau believes that he's the superior race. But when you look up the benefits of melanin, it say melanin provides a pigmentation to your skin, eyes, and hair, which give you that color. That's why we're dark, right? We're brown, right? Due to that melanin being in our skin. It say the substance also observes harmful UV, ultraviolet rays, and protect your cells from sun damage. Now, when Esau go to try to stand in the sun, he gets sunburned, right? He catches skin cancer, right? We don't have to worry about those problems, right? We can be in the sun all damn day. And it's actually good for us, man. I got a precept on that, right, in Ecclesiastes, real quick.
All this to destroy Jacob.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just destroying
Get on Ecclesiastes, chapter 11 and verse 7.
So they gonna take the crappy coffee to a whole
That's
different
the
level.
crap.
You said 7?
Ecclesiastes, chapter 11 and verse 7,
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11 and verse 7.
right?
Truly, the light is sweet.
The Lord said, truly the light is sweet. So light is sweet to the Israelites. Read on.
It says, and a pleasant thing it is for the eyes to behold the sun.
Right? Esau can't behold the sun. Tell the so-called white man, get out there right now with his blonde hair and blue eyes and try to look at the sun and see what's going to happen to him. Right? The sun is already bright enough. Right? But nonetheless, we have pigmentation within our eyes. We have melanin. So you can kind of glance at the sun. And it's actually a good thing, man, when you look up the benefits of that. Right? Now, the white man says, you better not look at that sun. You're going to get skin cancer. You're going to catch that sunburn. No, you're going to catch the sunburn. You're going to get the skin cancer. You can't go look at the sun because you have recessive genes. Right?
They try to make Jake put up a sunscreen.
Yeah, we don't need sunscreen. Brothers, listen, brothers. You do not need sunscreen, man. You have melanin. You have pigmentation.
Yeah.
Right?
They try to make Jake put up sunscreen, man.
Yeah, I wanted to make another point too.
Want to make another point dealing with damn Neanderthals. You gotta bring.
Look at Job 30, man.
Right, so it's benefits of the sun. Right? what are the 6 benefits of sunlight? It says sunlight kills bacteria. Many of us spend a lot of time indoors. Sunlight may reduce high blood pressure. Sunlight can regulate the immune system. Sunlight can strengthen bones. Sunlight can improve sleep quality. Sunlight boosts mood. Right? So it's different benefits of the sun, man. Now Esau ain't gonna tell you the different benefits of the sun.
Nah.
He gonna say the sun is bad.
UV light.
Put on your sunshades. Right? You know, a lot of these Edomites be wearing them sunshades, man. And Karens, they be having them dark sunshades.
Yeah.
We wear sunshades to look cool, man. That's why Israel. We don't wear it because we need it, you know. So this is real, man. It's a real difference between us and the so-called white man. They have recessive genes. We have dominant genes. That's why we have broad noses, broad lips. Right? We have these on the athletic level with the best. We're stronger physically.
Smarter.
You know, we smarter, we age like wine.
That's right.
You know, whereas they age like milk, man.
That's what I said. Like, according to their logic, why do they exist if it's natural selection?
Damn,
You
bro.
got it, gang.
And every time we saw, try to make an image of the people of old that's millions of years, how do they know the skin color of these people?
Right.
Like this,
They
it don't even make
just
sense, bro. They always white, bro.
Always.
So cool.
And these are Neanderthals, so-called. Now, get Joe 30. Joe 30, what's that, 5?
Right, let's see who the real Neanderthal is, man.
It's the book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 5.
Right, there, real quick, remind me of that movie Hoes, man. With Shia LaBeouf. Right, he had the big dude armpit. He kept calling Shia LaBeouf a Neanderthal, man. He's like, I told you he was a Neanderthal. That was spiritual, man.
You can bring that on, man.
The book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 5. They were driven forth from among men. They
Right.
cried after them as after a thief.
Right?
To dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks.
Right, that's talking about Esau. They was dwelling in the caves of the earth. Now, this is during the Dark Ages. I wanted to pull up some images. When you look into something called the wild man, and they so-called call it a myth. It's not a myth. It's actual depictions of Esau during the Dark Ages. Check it out. Let's see how they was looking, man. The real Neanderthal, right? This is a depiction of Esau, right, during the Dark Ages. That's what these people were. Check out this. Madness, man. Check it out.
Look at this guy. He's, I got a precept.
I want to look so innocent for him that
Daniel chapter, matter of fact.
they gotta kind of see this, right? So they're the real cavemen in Neanderthal. I got one more I want to pull up.
Precept.
I got all these boys.
Get Psalms chapter 59 and verse 14.
It's the book of Psalm, chapter 59, right?
Right, because this is the real caveman. This is the real dog on earth. Now, man is personified as beast on the spiritual level. Right, we understand that. Well, man is not exactly beast, but this, man's spirit can be likened unto a beast. And Esau is likened unto a serpent. He's likened unto a dog. He's a Neanderthal. Psalms 59 and 14.
It's the book of Psalm, chapter 59 and verse 14.
Matter of fact, start at
12.
verse 13.
It's the book of Psalm, chapter 59 and verse 13. Consume them in wrath.
Do what?
Consume them in wrath. Consume them that they may not be. It says, and let them know that Yahweh ruleth in Jacob unto the ends of the earth.
Right, so we was made in the image of the Lord, right? Chiefly the Israelite man. Right, so the Lord is a man of color. Right, the Lord has woolly hair. We look like the Lord, man. Right? So that's beautiful. So you want to say the Lord has recessive genes? You want to say the Lord is not dominant or that's off. Right? Keep reading.
Verse 14. And at evening let them return, and let them make a noise like a dog.
Do what?
Make a noise like a dog.
So Esau make the noise like a dog. You know, down, braying and, looking under rocks, right? Swinging from rocks, right? Throwing rocks at each other. Right? What is the movie, Salaki, what is the TV show Flintstones about?
Esau.
Tarzan.
Tarzan.
God.
It wasn't no Jake Tarzan. That was always a white boy.
Swinging in the tree.
Swinging in a tree, eating bananas.
Check this.
That's the real monkey.
No clothes on.
Yeah, this is the damn real monkey, man. Check this. This is a real depiction, right? This is where the what's it called? Werewolves come from. Because werewolves come from the Dark Ages. That was what Jake was saying, man. Keep your kids in, man. The damn white man howling, eating people, man. Literally, yeah, you can look into that. The Wild Man myth, right? It's a book that's not for sale no more. I got an insert of it. I'd have to go through my pictures, but it literally tells you that's where the werewolf myth come from, the wild man. Because they actually was cannibals and eating people. These people, they was in the woods, in the caves, man.
That's crazy.
And who always depicts a
Check it out.
werewolf or Dracula? It's always Esau.
But check this out. This is where I went. This is from the 1300s. This is a bunch of white boys, right? They got blonde hair, pale skin, they got sticks, no shoes on their feet, and they
Look at
attacking.
them toenails, bro.
And they attacking a castle.
Like they got claws, bro.
And they're attacking a castle, right? Now let's see who they're attacking in the castle. Jake.
Oh man.
Yeah, Daniel.
This is from Germany, the 1300s,
Yeah. Daniel chapter 4, verse 3.
right? So we was the kings and rulers, and they was the cave beasts, trying to get back in power.
And real quick, they still had the same spirit, not wearing shoes. Bro, I seen one video, it was an Edomite, damn, on all fours,
He
man.
clipped their nail, bro.
It was a video the brother Eli sent. It was a damn Edomite running on all fours. And she was doing it so efficiently.
She was fast, too.
Yeah, she was fast with it. You seen that video?
Yeah. Like a horse.
On TikTok.
It was one of them, man.
I seen
He was.
She was running. She was galloping.
All these pictures, man, depicting Esau.
That's crazy.
So it's in Psalms 59, that's explaining when they first lost the power of Rome, they started acting like animals.
Well, that's just going into the spirit of Esau.
Okay.
Like making a noise like a dog. He's moving in that spirit. That spirit of an animal.
It's like that's even in Job. Matter of fact, you go back to Job 30 and 5. It actually says that in Job. Because even I gotta try to find
Read
it.
14 again. I want to read that again.
It's Psalm.
Yeah, Psalms 59 and 14.
Guys, book of Psalm chapter 59, verse 14.
Watch
Read
this.
Psalm 59 and 14.
Yeah.
And at evening, let them return, and let them make a noise like a dog.
Let them make a noise like a dog. Talking about Esau. Right? And you can apply it to that time period. Right, when they was out there, damn, making noises like a dog, trying to get into the castle, trying to break it down, eat up Jake. Right? You got it.
And go round about the city.
And do what?
And go round about the city.
And go what?
And go round about the city.
Hey, it was going round. It was going round about the city. They trying to break into castles. Right? Read on.
It says, let them wander up and down for me.
Let them do what?
Wander up and down for me.
That's what they was doing. They was wandering up and down for meat. They was going through a famine. Right? Because they didn't know how to take care of themselves. These men were fresh out of the caves. Right? That's what Malachi the first chapter is going into. Right? The Lord laid their heritage waste for the dragons and dungeons of the caves. That's in Hebrews chapter 11 and verse
He
38.
turned into a beast.
Yup.
Like he did Nebuchadnezzar.
Yup. That's in Daniel 4:33. It
Nebuchadnezzar.
say,
Damn.
real quick, it say, let them wander up and down for meat and grudge if they be not satisfied. Right? So he was getting mad, trying to break down the castle, looking for that flesh to eat up.
God.
That's Esau, man.
Esau, man.
So you can actually apply that to that time period.
Raw flesh.
Get Daniel chapter 4, verse 33.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 4, verse 33, the classic. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar. And he was driven from men.
He was what?
Driven from men.
Right, so the Lord brung down Nebuchadnezzar. He brung down that pride, and he drove him forth from among men. And that's what Job the 30th say, right? I believe it say they were driven forth from among men. To wander in the caves of the earth. Hebrews 11:38.
You bring that back out because it said they was braiding and.
Yep, among the bushes they braid. Keep reading on to that.
He says, and he was driven from men and did eat grass.
He did what?
Eat grass.
So he was eating grass. I remember one time, man, I was driving. I forget where I was driving at, but I seen a heathen on the side of the road picking up grass and eating it, man.
Damn.
I kind of glimpsed over. I said, eating grass? Yeah.
Damn.
I said, this man eating grass, man.
Completely destitute.
You know? So a lot of these Edomites, they into that type of stuff. Eating grass, eating dirt. You know what I'm saying? Keep reading.
It says,